Hello everyone, it's good to see you all back. Happy 2025, as today we're diving into one of the coolest, most potent builds for hunters in Destiny 2, the Mask of Fealty Hunter build. If you've been interested in seeing how a endgame Shogun build is created in-game, well of course, I'm your man, as this exotic is quite potent outside of using Monte Carlo. How many of you here have actually given the exotic a full-on try, and what have your thoughts been on it, as I would love to hear your thoughts and feedback. But like always, let's make a start. Let's start with our exotic armor, Mask of Fealty. With its exotic effect, no factor, it states, within blade hits, bounces, creates a small stasis crystal and refund a portion of melee energy. Using within blade to shatter crystals or frozen targets, releases a spread of within blades. A very unique exotic that I'm happy to finally see be released for players, as the stasis shurikens are quite powerful with their ability to ricochet, slow and freeze near instantly. Now if you wanted to fully use the exotic without the BS, then using Monte Carlo is really it. However, when it comes down to using it outside of the following exotic, you will have to be a bit more creative with what you have. Luckily, the stasis shards are fairly easy to gather, and as the exotic can create more undestroyed frozen objects, you just need to fill in the gap along the way. This is an easy exotic to build into, depending on what activity you want to use it in. Our second exotic is a Salvation Grip with its exotic effect, Cryo Cannon, which states, this weapon's charged projectile creates a pattern of stasis crystals on impact and freezes nearby targets. It may not be what most people would choose, but the Salvation Grip with Fealty do share a combo worth using. Fealty's flavoured text does state that you can produce an additional shuriken via glaciers destroyed on your end. As long as we charge up a single shot, we will get about 4 to 5 glaciers we can destroy, which means we are able to get back multiple melee charges back and constant freeze on our end. We can also use the normal form for boss damage, as we can pair this up with the Concussive Dampener mod for the weakening effect. Personally, I like to showcase off safe builds that players can pick up and use without needing to do anything too large. To me, I want players to enjoy what they have, but also show how not every exotic needs to be purely damage based. As mentioned, you can go with Monte Carlo if you want, while this version here is expanding our current kit on multiple fronts as shown. For aspects and fragments, we have the following: a touch of winter where your glacier, dust field and cold snap grenades get additional enhance. Grim Harvest where defeating slowed or frozen targets create stasis shards which grant melee energy and false armor. Whisper of Rime where your false armor duration is increased. Whispers of Hunger where collecting shards will double how much melee energy you get back. Whispers of Torment where taking on incoming damage will grant you grenade energy. Whispers of Conduction where nearby stasis shards tracks your location, and Whispers of Duration where slowing or freezing enemies duration is increased. The most easiest route we the player can take when maximizing Mask of Fealty's effect will be to simply focus on getting as much shards as possible. Luckily, hunters can get this quite easily from Grim Harvest alone, but I find that adding the Whispers of Hunger and Torment are also highly needed for the build to succeed. Hunger will grant us a 10% to 75% shards regen for the type of shard we collect. This here makes it easier for us to gather and use our melee back to back as long as the enemies we kill are mixed group. Torment is going to benefit the type of grenade we have, which is Cold Snap, something I've read to be the better choice for instant freezing multiple enemies. I find this to be true as it allows one shuriken to turn into multiple, which is handy for slowing more enemies down further and then follow up with my second melee charge. When done right, we should have a full melee charge right back to build up and reuse again. To be honest, these have only been the main fragments I have found to be reliable on, as they will indirectly buff up melee one way or another. If you wanted to, you could add Whispers of Chain and Chill to the build, since they are affected by false armor and stasis weapon. This will give you an additional shard on top of what we have, so you can triple down further within the current build, and just have a ton of melee charges coming towards you on top of the mods and weapon perks we also have. Keep this in mind, as you may not have the same loadout like I do in the end. For the mods and stats, we have both Resilience and Discipline marked with the highest priorities for the build. Strength can be either buffed or left how it is, as we do have additional methods to bolster it further. Resilience, we have ours at a tier 10 for a 30% damage reduction. I do have the Wind Chill mod active when using my stasis weapons of choice. This is all I have, as I want to make use of the reserves mods for more further use of the stasis sidearm I have. This is optional, as I know most people will go for like reduced AoE damage or reduced elemental incoming damage, so all of this depends on how safe you wish to play it, or if you just want more ammo overall. The Discipline, we have ours at a tier 10 for a 1 minute 1 second cooldown via cold snap grenades. Stasis grenades are an interesting area to pick when using Fealty, as typically you mainly want to focus on your melee than your grenades. However, we can greatly benefit from it. Glaciers are handy for blocking and freezing multiple enemies off, but also being powerful enough for us to damage anyone caught near it. However, we have Salvation Grip for that. A Dust Field is good as well, as it can freeze a wide number of enemies all at once, making it easier for us to melee after. However, you need to be lucky with nabbing a large group first. This leaves us with Cold Snap, which is more instant on its freeze, but also its ability to spread its effects to others. This here works much better as it will interact with Exotic, but most importantly allow us to trigger multiple shurikens from one enemy, which saves us time. That's how I see it, but you can be more flexible while you play along with it. Outside of that, this brings us to the additional mods which are recommended for buffing our key stats. Impact Induction ×1 for a 12% grenade buff, Momentum Transfer for a 12% grenade buff, Bolstering Detonation for a 12% class ability buff, which is optional, Distribution for a 4% all ability buff, and Outreach for a 12% melee regen buff. Further additional mods, we don't have the following: Heavy and Special Ammo Finder, Reserve and Scoundrel mods for a heavy and special weapon, Harmonic Siphon for creating orbs of power reimagining elemental type, a Charged Up ×1 for increasing the maximum stack of armor charges by +1, Elemental Charge where collecting an elemental pickup will grant you an armor charge, a Void Weapon Surge ×1 for a 10% Void Weapon buff, and Powerful Attraction where using your class ability will collect orbs of power within your Vinicity. Now, as we have covered our Exotic heavy weapon, I will then advise you to pick some super weapons to build. What I recommend are all optional, so please keep this in mind. Our primary will be the Briar's Love with Perpetual Motion and Puglist. While having a weapon with no Puglist is fine, I would recommend you get one either way, as it does help the build out quite a lot in endgame. If I wasn't using the following, I would go with an arc weapon that has Jolt Shot on it, and then make full use of the Trace Evidence, Retinal Burn, and Arc Compounding seasonal mods. This way, the build is fully spread out with taking on multiple threats, but also getting a weakening effect, blind debuff, and free ability energy. A good one to use would be the Shadow Price, which can be gotten from Zavala. Secondary, we have the Tenacious Mastery, with Reverberation and Chill Clip. It's ideal you get a weapon that has Chill Clip on it, as this will interact heavily with our main Exotic. The following is a good pairing, as it does this quite a bit of damage against mages and above, which is handy when we are not using our heavy. On top of that, it can easily slow and freeze within 2 hits, so its application is viable for all sorts of builds. We can also make use of the Windshield perk for the damage reduction we can get, so really our weapon has a lot of benefits we can make full use of. The overall hype around the Mask of Fealty from the community is quite warranted with how simple yet powerful it can turn our Stasis melee with a few buffs. While Stasis Shurikens on their own are naturally powerful with their ability to slow and freeze targets, the added Exotic allows us to, in theory, spam it and spread its effects far and wide. My setup has everything you would need to benefit from the melee, with Whispers of Hunger being added for the first time in my builds. As long as you can freeze an enemy, you can get back around 50 to 75% of your melee energy back with everything in hand. Now include the use of Grim Harvest with Salvation Grip, and you should be able to spam this on a much higher rate. As shown, it does incredibly well and does provide the ability for it to be used in PvP without much change needed. However, I will include that having a weapon with Puglist would very much be appreciated, as not all the time this setup will work in your favour. If you intend to use this in GMs, raids, dungeons, or even PvP, you'll need a weapon that can grant you ability energy back to keep you topped up and going. I've seen a few content creators not show off the importance of maintaining your mini charge, and this will cause quite a bit of issues with dictating what the build can actually do. Personally, you only need Grim Harvest, Whispers of Hunger, Torment, and Puglist perk for the build to fully work in your favour, but if you wish to really lean into the build, then you'll want to have what I've shown, as it can be used in all sorts of content, not just GMs. Whether you're endgame or casual, Mask of Fealty can work with whatever you have in mind, since it's quite simple to use. As long as you find a way to maintain your slow melee charges, you'll have a wonderful Stasis build for life. So there we have it. I hope you all enjoyed the build breakdown. If you have any thoughts on the content shared, then please leave a comment below. Or if you enjoyed the content and want more of these videos, then leave a like and a sub while you're here. A dim link for the build is located below in the pin section, and I do advise you to check out my playlist for more. It was great sharing today's video with you all, and I hope to see you again soon.